Cassie Ventura's cross-examination in the federal trial against Sean Diddy Combs took an unexpected and explosive turn, and it may be the moment this entire trial pivots. While the prosecution had built its early momentum around Cassie's emotionally raw and disturbing testimony, the defense came in swinging, armed with receipts, text messages, contradictions, and jaw-dropping timelines. What looked like a compelling case of control, abuse, and coercion was suddenly under fire. And now, nothing about this trial feels certain. Diddy's legal team finally scores. Until now, Diddy's defense had appeared to be treading water, acknowledging the infamous 2016 Intercontinental Hotel video that shows Diddy dragging and beating Cassie, but denying charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. But in May's courtroom showdown, his legal team found their opening. They introduced a slew of messages from Cassie that not only contradicted her timeline, but made her appear complicit, even enthusiastic, in the very scenarios she described as exploitative freak-offs, from salacious texts Cassie sent planning sexual encounters to casual messages days after beatings. The defense began to frame a picture of Cassie as a willing participant in a toxic relationship, rather than a trafficked victim. The freak-offs now look very different. Cassie had described the infamous freak-offs as traumatizing and degrading, multi-day, drug-fueled sex parties with hired escorts, sometimes filmed without her consent. But cross-examination painted a more complex, even contradictory story. According to the defense, Cassie regularly coordinated these sessions. In one text exchange just days before the hotel assault, Cassie is seen planning the evening's events, mentioning names, roles, and even reminding Diddy to bring the tablet for entertainment. This flies directly in the face of her initial testimony where she claimed she had no control and was repeatedly coerced. Cassie's credibility takes a hit. Perhaps the most damaging moment came when Cassie denied being involved in a confrontation with Suge Knight, only to have the defense present prior testimony where she said she was in the car and crying, as Diddy allegedly confronted Knight. That contradiction alone rattled her credibility, and it didn't stop there. In one message, Cassie described herself as not a ragdoll, accusing Diddy of physically abusing her. That might sound incriminating, but it was the defense who introduced it. Why? Because it painted Cassie as someone aware of the abuse, but who continued to return, text him sweet nothings, and even slept with him after the alleged rape. It was a strategy to undermine her claims of fear and helplessness, and it landed hard. The CNN video context bombshell. Everyone has seen the 2016 hotel hallway video. It's graphic, horrifying, and impossible to ignore. For weeks, it has been the prosecution's most damning visual. But now, Diddy's team is working to reframe it. According to text messages revealed in court, the incident wasn't a spontaneous eruption of violence. Cassie had allegedly been communicating with Diddy days prior about wanting to please him before her movie premiere. The defense argues it wasn't fear driving her, it was emotional dependence and self-interest. More than that, Diddy's lawyers say he told her to take it easy, not to do too many drugs, and to rest before her big event. That contradicts her claims that she was forced into a freak-off and beaten in the aftermath. The message? Yes, Diddy was abusive, but not criminally coercive. Emotional manipulation or trafficking? At the core of this trial is one key question. Was Cassie manipulated by a toxic ex, or was she trafficked by a predator? Prosecutors say the freak-offs, the threats, the blackmail with sex tapes, all of it, formed a coercive system of control that meets the legal definition of sex trafficking and racketeering. But the defense is working hard to show that Cassie had agency. They argue she had choices, she made decisions, and at times even initiated the behaviors she now frames as abuse. That matters in court, especially when trying to prove coercion beyond a reasonable doubt. Diddy's withdrawal and drug use comes into play. Another angle the defense is leaning into: drugs. Cassie testified earlier that Diddy was aggressive, volatile, and violent, particularly when high. But under questioning, she admitted that Diddy's worst behavior often occurred during withdrawal. They're not denying the beatings. Instead, they're reframing them. This wasn't a cold, calculated trafficker. This was a man battling substance abuse, spiraling in a toxic relationship. It's an ugly picture, but not necessarily a criminal one, if the jury believes he wasn't in control of his actions. Dawn Richards' explosive skillet testimony. Outside of Cassie, another major figure stepped into the spotlight: Dawn Richard. She testified that in 2009, she saw Diddy slam a skillet of eggs over Cassie's head, kick her, and drag her by the hair. She claims he warned her not to talk, telling her, "People go missing." Richard's allegations echo many of Cassie's claims, but the defense will likely attack her motives as she has her own pending lawsuit against Diddy. Still, it was one of the most viscerally disturbing moments of the trial so far. The $10 million hotel settlement. One of the more baffling developments was Cassie revealing she is receiving a $10 million settlement from the Intercontinental Hotel, where the 2016 assault took place. Observers have questioned what liability the hotel could have had. Were they negligent? Did they fail to intervene? The details remain unclear, but it raised eyebrows and complicated Cassie's narrative. Why would the hotel pay that kind of money if they weren't at fault? Or if Cassie wasn't a credible victim? I'd give the $20 million back. In a powerful moment during Redirect, Cassie said she'd give back the $20 million settlement she received from Diddy in her civil case if it meant she never had to experience the freak-offs again. That line landed hard, and the prosecution hopes it re-anchors the jury emotionally. Still, as the cross-examination continued, so did the damage. The defense isn't denying that Diddy is flawed, volatile, and often monstrous. But they're working overtime to prove that doesn't make him guilty of federal crimes. If this trial taught us anything, it's that not all that glitters in Hollywood is gold. Cassie and Diddy's story is just one of many where love turns toxic under the spotlight. But they're not alone. From cheating scandals to courtroom drama, failed celebrity relationships often hide deep pain behind the fame. Click the next video to dive into the most shocking celebrity breakups that made headlines and ruined reputations.